we want to start by welcoming everybody, to our seminar on natural detoxification of vital organs. So today we're going to explore how we can support the process of optimal health and well-being. Specifically, we're going to focus on the spleen, the gallbladder, the heart, small intestines, large intestines, the lungs, kidneys, liver, and the pancreas. So, understanding the process of detoxification is a fundamental process that occurs in various organs throughout our bodies. And these organs play a crucial role in filtering out the toxins and the waste products and harmful substances that allow us to maintain a state of balance and health. So, let's take a closer look at these organs and how they contribute to detoxification. So we'll start out looking at the spleen. Now, the spleen, in some of these organs, I want to give you all, I want to share with you all some stories that that I've experienced in my life of dealing with people and people who we thought was going to be healthy, didn't last long, died at early ages in their 39s and their 40s and what have you. And so this one about the spleen, I'm going to share this. So the spleen is an often overlooked organ. The spleen, its function is filtering blood and removing old and damaged red blood cells and fighting off infection. To support the spleen's health and detoxification, we have to consume foods that are rich in antioxidants, such as your fruits and vegetables, your herbs, like turmeric, ginger. They the spleen deal with infection. The gallbladder. It stores and concentrates bile by the liver. Now, before we go to the gallbladder, I want to share a story with you. There was this one brother who was nationally renowned, and he was in all kind of organizations. He was president of the sociology association and the psychology association, and he knew people all over the country. He had a clinic on the west side of Chicago, a mental health agency. And I was fortunate to go there and to write up a proposal to teach stress management to the clients. It was like an outpatient day day program. And so I would teach the patients that came there, I would teach the staff, but he was too busy. He was always too busy, and he was too stressed out. And so what happened, he lost his life to the spleen, to cancer of the spleen by 48 years old. So that's always on my mind. Whenever I think about the spleen, I'm thinking about him, because the spleen is an energy. It's like an energy generator for your body, and it helps to keep your energy going. And if the spleen blows out, your energy is going to decline quickly. So after then, I always was thinking about the spleen when I do my breathing. I'm always thinking about the spleen when I'm strengthening my organs with the breathing. The next organ we're looking at is the gallbladder. The gallbladder stores and it concentrates. So when it concentrates the bile produced by the liver, it aids in the digestion and absorption of fats to keep the gallbladder healthy and functioning optimally. It's essential to maintain a balance rich in fiber and healthy fats, avoiding excessive consumption of processed foods and saturated fats. So let me tell you a story. There was this friend of mine she was a baker, and she always baked cakes. She always baked cakes. That was her specialty. So when you bake cakes, what do you put in the cakes to bake the cakes? Do you put some butter? Do you put some trans fats? In the earlier days, we had trans fats. So what happened is she got cancer of the gallbladder and died at 61. The next organ is the heart. While the heart's primary function is to pump blood throughout the body, it plays a role in detoxification. Someone had a question? Someone said something? Function is to pump blood. I heard something in the background. There was a question. So the heart plays a role in detoxification by ensuring proper circulation and oxidation of tissue. So for the heart, we need regular exercise, we need stress management techniques, and we need healthy heart diet, low in processed foods, white salts and trans fats. This can support the heart's health and detoxification. So I have a story about the heart. So there was this one patient when I became a doctor, he had had a stroke. And from the stroke, he came to me, he was 52 years old, and he was dragging one leg and he had severe headaches. And when I started working with him, I would share with him that your body is your temple, and we have one goal, and that's to get you vital again. And he was one of the earlier patients that I started exposing to the super breath. Well, his health was restored and he got healthier. Then he got with this one honey, this one new woman that was very much not into health. So she started feeding him donuts. His blood sugar started going up to 300 to 400. He started having to call 911 and go to the hospital in emergencies. And she was on 13 medication. She smoked cigarettes. She died. He got back on his health, and now he's 84 and still alive and healthy. From what I had told him, I would say, go back to what I told you. And now he's 84 and he's still walking like when he was 45 years old. Now we're going to talk about the small intestines. The small intestines are responsible for absorbing nutrients from the food we eat while preventing harmful substance entering the bloodstream. To support small intestine detoxification, we have to focus on. We have to eat a diverse range of whole foods, including fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins like chicken and like healthy fish and some turkey. Large now with the small intestines, I don't really have a story for that one as much. But we're going to the large intestines. I must tell you about this story. The large intestines, the colon, plays a crucial role in eliminating waste products and toxins from the body. To support the colon health and detoxification, we have to prioritize fiber-rich foods, stay hydrated, and engage in regular physical activity. Additionally, we have to consider incorporating probiotic-rich foods like yogurt and kefir to support a healthy gut microbiome. So we say, well, what happened to this person with the large intestines? Well, this person was a young man. He was only 35 years old. And because he didn't know what to eat, his colon became blocked. And they had to cut 8 feet of colon from his large intestines. They had to put a colostomy bag. Do you know? You all know what a colostomy bag is? They had to close up his colon where he could not eliminate from the bottom anymore and eliminate out of the colostomy bag for the rest of his life. Now imagine someone who's only 35 years old. For the next 40 years, if they lived that old or 35, they would have to wear a colostomy bag and eliminate the toxins out of the front of their diaphragm, the front of their body. The next one is the lungs. The lungs are responsible for exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide, but they also play a role in detoxification by removing airborne pollutants and toxins. They support lung health and detoxification. We have to avoid cigarettes, smoke, and other environmental pollutants. We have to practice deep breathing exercise, and we have to maintain good indoor air quality. So what did we talk about in our last sessions? We talked about getting an air filter for your house, an air ionizer. We talked about breathing exercises that we were going over. And we talked about avoiding environmental toxins and pollutants like the COVID, like the RSV, like the pneumonia, and like the flu. And we said if we do all the right things, even if somebody brought the microbe to our house, that we might be able to survive. Now, I will tell you this particular story. My neighbor right across the alley invited some people to his house from Miami. They brought the COVID to his house. When they left, the COVID was still at his house, and he got the COVID. My next door neighbor has now died because the COVID got him because he had weak lungs. Just like when the COVID first started and people got COVID and they died of COVID when it first started happening, he was a later fatality. The next one is kidneys. The kidneys filter waste products and toxins from the blood, excreting them in the form of urine. Supporting kidney health and detoxification, we have to stay hydrated. Well, what water should we drink? What water should we drink? We should drink alkaline water. And even we can drink, if we don't have a machine, we can drink alkaline water that comes from the mountain springs. This is it's a company called Mountain Valley. It's a green bottle. And if you're going to buy any kind of alkaline water, because they're selling a lot of them at the store now in these plastic containers. Well, they found out plastic is toxic to our bodies too, and can create particles that can create cancer in our bodies. And in Canada, they have banned those bottles because they do more research on preventive health in Canada because they have a universal health system. So the government is very more proactive about healthcare in Canada. So the kidneys, we have to limit our consumption of sodium and processed foods. We have to avoid the intake of excessive alcohol and caffeine because this is what would damage the kidneys. But what happened is that there are some other things that the kidneys need to eliminate that we have not been told about. So how many of us know of this one test called the A1C? The A1C is a test where they're testing your kidneys to see if your kidneys are starting to fail. And the A1C starts out at about a 6.5. And when it gets to a 7, they're saying, oh, we got to put you on dialysis. Your kidneys are breaking down. Your percentage of elimination of toxins is down to 30%. Your kidneys are now only functioning at 30%, 20%. We got to put you on dialysis. Well, the one thing that most people may not know is eating the processed carbs from flour. From flour wipes out the kidneys like it wipes out the pancreas. It wipes out the kidneys. Let me tell you this story. There was this bishop who was 88 years old whose kidneys was going into trouble. He was a bishop who was the top bishop of all the bishops, of over 12,000 bishops and over 2 million people. So he called me because they wanted to put him on dialysis. I said, hold it, hold it. Eliminate all of your flour, all of your pasta, your pastries, all of that, all of the sugar. And I sent him some herbs, and he was able to restore his kidneys and live another 2 years until the COVID came. He was one who was misfortunate with getting the vaccination. He got the vaccination and had a horrible response. He had to go to the hospital, the ICU. And while in the ICU, they didn't pull up the rails on the bed, and he fell out the bed and broke his neck and died. But his kidneys, he lived another 2 years. And then we have the liver. The liver is often referred to as the body's primary detoxification organ, and it metabolizes and eliminates toxins from the bloodstream. To support the liver and detoxification, we have to focus on eating a nutrient-dense diet, rich in fruits and vegetables and lean protein. Well, what would that be? That would be your healthy chicken that doesn't have all the hormones, the healthy chicken without the skin, without being fried, the healthy fish. We need to limit the alcohol consumption and avoid exposure to environmental toxins whenever possible. There's another story. A friend of mine, he was in India, and this one company called Union Carbide. They were in India, and the business, it exploded. There was a explosion at the company, and the toxins were in the air. And we always hear about, when we hear about trains turning over in this country and what have you, and they say they have to evacuate the people, but they bring the people back too soon. The toxins are still in the air, and the people, they breathe the toxins. So this was a doctor friend of mine who was in New York. He went to India to help the people. He's a holistic doctor. Well, those toxins he was breathing blew out his organ. He came back and he had to be put on dialysis. His weight was thin and bones. He was skin and bones. His weight did come back. For 2 years, he was healthy. But then he got an infection while getting the dialysis, and the kidneys failed, and he died. He was only 48 years old. So then we have the pancreas. The pancreas was the last organ. The pancreas play a vital role in regulating blood sugar levels, producing digestive enzymes to support pancreatic health and detoxification. Maintain a balanced diet with low sugar and refined carbs like flour, like breads, and exercise regularly, and then manage our stress level. If our stress goes up, we develop a chemical called cortisol, and cortisol turns our carbs into fats, forcing people to gain weight and forcing the people to then have other problems like with the heart and with the kidneys. So the pancreas is a very delicate organ. A person would not even know they have cancer until usually they're in fourth stage, because in the pancreas, you have to stimulate the pancreas to help the pancreas. And if you're not breathing deep and strong enough, you won't be strengthening the pancreas. So that's why super breath, super breathing is so important for all of these organs that I'm talking about, because we don't breathe strong and deep enough. And so what happens? The pancreas takes a hit, and we don't even know it has taken a hit because we're not breathing deep and strong enough. In the super breathing that I speak of, that some of you all might have seen on YouTube when you see me doing the breathing and you see me squeeze my internal organs and you see where my diaphragm is lifted and it's squeezing the organs and you see where my diaphragm become hollow. All of those organs, the old blood is squeezed out so that new blood can come in. And when new blood comes in, it comes in full of oxygen and it helps those organs stay healthier. So it's harder for the microbes to come and get you and give you cancer of the organs. So now we say, well, what can we do about nutrients, natural nutrients to help support the detoxification process? And now we talk about including the thyroid. We say, well, with the spleens, we talked about the foods, but we get more specific. We need berries. We need green leafy vegetables and herbs like turmeric and ginger to support the spleen. We need vitamin C, citrus fruits like kiwi, like bell pepper, like carrots. We need strawberries, but they have to be healthy strawberries because they carry a lot of toxins if they're not organic. And we especially talk about organic. With the gallbladder, we need oats and beans and lentils and fruit to support the gallbladder, to help healthy digestion and prevent gallstone formation. This is what happened to my friend who was a chef, baking all the pastries. She got gallstone formations and she got cancer of the gallbladder and died early. We need healthy fats like avocado and nuts and seeds and fatty fish to support the bowel production and flow, which is essential for gallbladder function. But for people who have diverticulitis, they cannot eat nuts and seeds. So we have to have it in a butter form, not in the seeds in themselves. For the heart, we need fatty fish like salmon and mackerel. We need sardines rich in omega-3 that can reduce inflammation and support healthy health, heart health. We need coenzyme Q10 that can prevent cholesterol. We need sources like healthy nuts and seeds and organ meats, like the turkey, like the healthy chicken and fish. Small intestines. We need probiotics. We need fermented foods such as healthy yogurt and kefir. If you go to the health food store, they have some that's made from it's made from nuts like oat kefir, like oat yogurt, like almond yogurt. We need sauerkraut and we need kimchi that have friendly probiotics that can support gut health and improve digestion. We need pineapples and papaya to help digestive enzyme by giving us bromelain and papain, which can aid in the breakdown of foods and support small intestines. We need for the large intestines, we need probiotics. We need foods such as garlic, onion, leeks, bananas to support the growth of beneficial gut bacteria and promote colon health. We need hydration, drinking water, alkaline water that's healthy for maintaining regular bowel movement and flushing toxins out of the body. Let's go back to the flour again. The flour dries up the colon. When it dries up the colon and we're eating meat, flour, and potatoes, we get constipation. Constipation scrapes against the walls of the colon. How do we know? When it gets to the end of the colon, it can't get out. And when the toxins can't get out, the toxins, when scraping along the walls, cause the polyps. The polyps, they burst open and the toxins go back into the body and helps to cause cancer of the colon. What do we see? A rise in cancer of the colon and a rise in diabetes and a rise in kidney problems where more people are on dialysis. The foods that we need for the lungs. We need sweet potatoes. We need carrots and spinach and kale to help support lung health. We need herbal teas like peppermint, eucalyptus, and ginger that can help soothe the respiratory tract and support lung function. For the kidneys, we need water, stay hydrated for optimal detoxification. We need to drink plenty of water throughout the day. We need potassium-rich foods like bananas, sweet potatoes, spinach, and avocado for healthier sources of potassium, which can help regulate fluid balance and support kidney function. For the liver, we need cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage containing compounds that support liver detoxification pathway. We need milk thistle, the herbs that help to support liver health and detoxification. For the pancreas, we need chromium. Foods rich in broccoli or barley, oats, and green beans can help support pancreatic health and help regulate blood sugar levels. We need cinnamon, the spice shown to help improve insulin sensitivity and support pancreatic function. And then we need the foods for the thyroid. We need iodine. Well, where did that come from? Sea vegetables like seaweed. Well, how many of us eat seaweed? Well, if you look at the Japanese community, you look at the Japanese culture, that's a part of their culture. So then we look at the people. All of the Japanese, even after they got bombed with the atomic bomb, they're living longer than everybody in their 80s and 90s and 100 because they eat seaweed that we don't. So we need to put seaweed in our diet. What do we see? We see sushi now being a popular food. Well, where do we see that? Do we see that in the African American community? No. We see it in the white community because they are becoming more informed about this information on how to stay healthy. And when I say white community, I'm talking about the upper stratosphere. I'm talking about people that like living in this neighborhood that I live in, Oak Park, people that live in River Forest. They demand the stores to have this sushi. Even if you go to stores like Pete's, it's in Chicago. I know some of you all live other places, might not have a Pete's, but Pete's have sushi in the store. The Pete's store is a very variated store with all kind of foods from all culture. They have the most produce in any store. And they have all kinds of vegetables there. Well, where do I spend my time? 95% over in the produce section. Okay. All right. So now,
so Dr. Hapi, I have a question.
Yes. Yes, Sister Christy.
Okay. What is your opinion about sauerkraut to add to our diet and detoxification?
It is very important because it's a pre-probiotic. It helps to build healthy organisms in the colon. The reason people are getting colon cancer because the healthy organisms are absent, because we're not eating foods that help to cause our bodies to build healthy bacteria. What we fail to realize is we have good bacteria and bad bacteria throughout the body. We are not being told. Only in the last 10 years have it became a thing of hearing about healthy bacteria. And so what happens? People that don't eat it, their colons become bloated. They have gas and bloatedness and discomfort. They move into colitis. They move into digestive disorders, of digestive bowel disorders, because we are not keeping the healthy bacteria. So we look at different cultures. We say, well, who eats sauerkraut? Well, the Jewish people eat sauerkraut. Well, what do they eat with the sauerkraut? They eat some beef called kosher beef. And so they have Reuben, a sandwich called Reuben. I remember I used to go buy the sandwich for the person who was a barber when I was little. I used to go to the store for him to get his lunch, and he would say, "Get me a Reuben sandwich with the sauerkraut." And the Reuben sandwich would come with sliced corned beef and with cheese. And then he would get the sauerkraut and he would eat it. And that would be his lunch. Well, he lived to 95 years old. But how many of us eat sauerkraut? If we don't like sauerkraut, then we should eat, because what is sauerkraut? It's cabbage. If we don't eat sauerkraut, we should eat kimchi. Well, what is that? It's the cabbage that the Koreans use in their diet. So we hear of these different cultures eating prebiotic foods that keeps their colon healthy, and we don't do it. So we have to expand our dietary intake where it become more global, where we take foods from different cultures that are the healthy foods to keep those people healthy. And then as we eat it, we will be more healthy. That's what sauerkraut is. Did
Thank
I answer the
you.
question? I kind of went on a tangent. All right.
You
You're
answered it,
welcome.
but you know your
All right.
tangent. We accept those too. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. So now we're saying these foods that are crucial that we have to avoid. With the spleen, we need to avoid refined sugars. Well, what is alcohol? It's a refined sugar. This person who I was talking about, he drank a lot of alcohol, and it helped to give his his spleen cancer. We have to have unhealthy fats and additives, where when we eat a lot of processed foods, do it have additives? When you're looking at the ingredients, those are the additives we're talking about that can cause inflammation and stress on the spleen. And it can weaken the immune system. That's how we get the cancer of the spleen. The gallbladder, we talked about the high fat foods, the high dairy products, the fatty meats that can cause gallstone formation. The trans fats, we're starting to learn about that some. Avoid foods containing trans fats, such as commercially baked goods and processed snacks, as they contribute to the gallbladder problem. What did I say about my friend? She was a baker, and she baked all the foods, all the pastries for everybody, and she would eat some, and it was to her demise. Hard, processed meats. Avoid stuff like bacon and sausage and deli meats. High in sodium, unhealthy fats, linked to heart disease. How about sugary beverages? Limiting our consumption of sugary drinks like soda, fruit juices, which can contribute to weight gain and increase the risk of heart disease. How about small intestines? Gluten-containing grains. They can cause gluten sensitivity or celiac disease, the celiac disease. So what is that? Okay, we talk about the flour too. It can cause all of the same problems. Avoid gluten-containing grains like wheat, barley, rye. When we eat too much of that, that can help prevent inflammation and damage to the small intestines. Artificial sweeteners can disrupt gut flora and cause digestive issues. It's best to avoid them too. How about the large intestines? Highly processed foods, low in fiber, can contribute to constipation, disrupt the balance of gut bacteria. That's what we learned about the probiotics. Red and processed meat causes constipation, along with limit constant consumption of processed meats because they're linked to increased risk of colon cancer. Lungs, cigarette and tobacco smoke. What did I tell you about myself? I came into this journey because I was already diagnosed with sarcoidosis. I'm supposed to be dead 25 years ago. But that's not the story I want to tell you. I want to tell you about the story of my brother. My brother was a DJ, and he used to play music at nightclubs and what have you. And during that time, they allowed everybody to smoke cigarettes. So my brother got secondary smoke and gave him leukemia. And at 39 years old, with eating these processed foods and dealing with secondary smoke, he died at 39 years old. So we have to limit our red meats and limit our processed meats and limit our cigarette smokes. We have to minimize our air pollutants. What did we talk about in the last session? The last couple of sessions, we was talking about the immune system. We was talking about the microbes coming and get us, and we was talking about getting the air machine. So we posed the question: did everybody get an air machine by now? Because if we're not breathing the if we're breathing the same polluted air in the house, and if we're letting air from outside come in, that we talked about the aluminum that's in the chemtrails in the air that's coming into the house, that can contribute to the what? To the Alzheimer's disease. And so we said everybody should have an air ionizer right now. Then we talked about kidneys. Excessive salt, high sodium intake, increases blood pressure, strains the kidneys. So it's important to limit consumption of salty foods and processed snacks. But then we say, well, how many of us eat canned foods? What's in the ingredients? What's in the food? They put salt as a preservative. They put sugar as a preservative in your processed foods. That's why we got to get close to the area. Like my grandmother, she didn't have processed food. She made the food from the vegetables from her garden. When we would go down to their farm down in Louisiana, they had a big old farm, 300 acres. And my grandmother, she would go out, she would pull the vegetables. She had canned foods, canned jars of food on the shelves in the pantry. She would go and wring the chicken's neck, fresh chicken, and we would eat the biscuits and all it. My grandmother lived to 95. My grandfather lived to 97. But we had these pecan trees. And so with these pecan trees, we had pecans that were 2 inches long, soft shell. You crush them and the meat was sweet. And my grandmother would make pecan pies. My grandfather got diabetes at 67 years old. He was tall, strong. He had strong children, but he lost both of his legs up to the hip because he was eating the pecan pies with all that sugar. Well, what kind of sugar do you get with pecan pies? You get what's called I think they call it praline. It's super sweet with Cairo syrup. And he lost both of his legs. He was in a wheelchair for 20 years. So what do we see now? We see the sugars. So we have to be careful. And we see them in the beverages. How many beverages on the shelves now compared to when we were growing up and all we had was some Kool-Aid? You got shelves and shelves, lines and rows of shelves with sugar. Well, who is drinking that? Our children. So who's going to educate them? We are, to not be eating the sugars that will give them diabetes at early ages and put them on dialysis machines and have their legs cut off. And all of this because and their eyes go blind because they're eating so much sugar, because we have so much of it. And everything you look at, when you pick up anything with a bottle mainly, and anything processed, you'll see sugar, some forms of sugar or sodium. We have to be the guardian of our health. Who are we? The heroes and the sheroes. And who are those? The Auset, the Isis with the large wings. Who are those? Those are you. And you must become the heroes and spread the word to save our people. And then we have the liver. Avoid the alcohol. Excessive alcohol consumption leads to fatty liver, and liver damage can cause liver cancer. We have to avoid the fried and greasy foods, high in unhealthy fats, contribute to liver inflammation and liver disease. It's best to avoid the fried foods and the fatty snacks. And then we have the pancreas. High sugar foods, beverages, processed carbohydrates, high in refined carbohydrates, white flour, pizzas, pastas, pastries, spike our blood sugar levels and stress the pancreas and give us diabetes and all the problems that come with it. And then we have the thyroid. Eliminate the soy products that affects the thyroid. Well, what should we be eating? The crucifers, vegetables cannot be good for the thyroid too, because they're large, while healthy, they can interfere with thyroid function for some individuals. So we have to be careful of that because it can cause iodine deficiencies. Avoiding these foods and making healthier dietary choices can support the natural detoxification process of the spleen, gallbladder, heart, small intestine, large intestines, lungs, kidneys, liver, pancreas, and thyroid, promoting overall health and well-being. So now we say we have to look at dietary factors. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle, we have to deal with the spleen. But what do we need with the spleen? We need the turmeric and the curcumin, that's what's in the turmeric, the active compound to cause anti-inflammation in the spleen. There's a compound that's in the milk thistle called silymarin, and it can help the spleen. The gallbladder, we need artichoke extract that creates compounds to help bowel production and flow, which is essential for the gallbladder to stay healthy. We need dandelion root, believed to stimulate the bowel production and promote gallbladder function in detoxification. For the heart, we need coenzyme 10 to help to reduce cholesterol. That the liver helps to produce cholesterol at night, so we should take the coenzyme 10 at night to help protect against oxidative damage. We need omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil supplements containing EPA and DHA. Omega fat 3, 6, and 9 can help reduce inflammation, support cardiovascular health. And then we have the digestive system. We need enzymes that help to break down and absorb the nutrients in the small intestines, aiding digestion and detoxification. We need L-glutamine, the amino acid that helps to support gut integrity and repair the lining of the small intestine, reducing inflammation and promoting detoxification. And then we need, for the large intestines, we need our probiotics. We need our kimchi, and we need our we need our our sauerkraut. My grandmother used to feed us sauerkraut, and we hated it. We say, "Oh, that stuff is so sour," but we didn't know with the sauerkraut and the buttermilk, it was helping us to have friendly bacteria, helping our digestive and elimination systems to work, to not get constipation and have healthy bowel elimination. We need psyllium husk and other fibers to help promote regular bowel movement and support colon health. For the lungs, we need N-acetylcysteine called NAC. It's a precursor for what's called glutathione, a powerful antioxidant that helps to protect the lung tissue from oxidative damage and support detoxification. Lungs support herbs. Well, we spoke about that. We spoke about the mullein leaf, but we didn't speak about the licorice. We spoke about the respiratory health and the lung detoxification. We have been speaking about that. For the kidneys, we need the cranberry extract. We need the supplements to support urinary tract health and reduce the risk of kidney stones and urinary tract infection. We need dandelion root as a natural diuretic that may help support kidney function and promote detoxification by increasing urine production. And then we need the liver. And with the liver, we need the NAC also for liver detoxification by promoting glutathione production. For the pancreas, we need alpha lipoic acid called ALA. It's a powerful antioxidant that may help support pancreatic health and reduce inflammation. We need chromium supplements to help support blood sugar regulation and pancreatic support. And for the thyroid, we need selenium. We need selenium supplements to help protect against oxidative damage to the thyroid gland. We need iodine supplements for the individual with iodine deficiency. Well, we said, well, what else can we take? We can take seaweed. We can start learning how to eat seaweed. They have this one seaweed. It comes as a toasted seaweed. It comes as a square, like the size of a card, and you can put it in your soups, and you can put it in your salads, and it gives an extra flavor to your salad and your soups. We eat it all the time. So we eat like the Japanese, we eat like the Chinese, we eat like the Thai people, we eat like the Greeks, we eat like the Italian, only the best of their foods. We eat like the Mexican, the Hispanics with the avocados. We eat the best of their foods so that we have a global diet to be very healthy by eating all the healthy stuff and getting all the healthy nutrients to keep a healthy colon and a healthy microbiome. Before starting any regimen, we need to consult with your doctor and make sure that the underlying health conditions or taking medication for our individual health. So now we are finished with the seminar. That is the end of the seminar. Are there any other questions?
Dr. Hapi, good evening, everybody. I have a question. I think you were talking about the pancreas. I hope I can remember right. You were talking about, I guess, the corticosteroids. I think you said that can cortisone can increase weight, force you to have increased weight. I think that's what you said. You know, to help manage with the.
Yes. I was talking about cortisol. Cortisol is produced when you're under stress. And what cortisol do, it turns carbs into fats. So when we look at people who are stressed out, we say, you might have been a person who was eating carbs. And these carbs, they turn to fats. So you might have been a vegetarian. We see some vegetarians, they're overweight. We say, how can that vegetarian be overweight? Vegetables are supposed to keep you slim and healthy, like the picture of a healthy body. But let's say that person had a job and it was very stressful, and all the carbs they were eating was turning to fats. And so now this person is 300 pounds, but this person, because they were stressed out, helped to contribute to them gaining the weight. They left the job, the stress was gone, and now they're the normal size. I know some people like this. One sister, she's 5'6". She should be 140 pounds. She was 240 pounds. The stress on the job. She left the job. We changed some things on her diet. Guess what her weight is now? 140 pounds. We taught her meditation to teach her how to be mindful, to reduce the stress that the adrenal cortex causes, the stress, and it releases, the adrenal cortex releases cortisol. It also releases the adrenaline that goes to the heart and create anxiety. So when you hear of people having anxiety, it's coming from the cortisol or the adrenaline being released from stress.
From the pancreas.
From the it's from the kidneys. The kidneys, it's called the cortex of the kidneys. It sits behind the kidneys, and it releases adrenaline and it releases cortisol. That cortisol turns carbs to fats.
And this affects those that have
So a
colitis.
vegetarian,
Mhm.
you say what now?
You relate this to colitis as well, those that may have some colitis. This is contributing.
Yes, it can affect, but the colitis, yes, but and all that because of the carbs. The carbs can cause the colitis, but it also the colitis causes it causes a person, the part of the brain which is the medulla oblongata, it causes that part of the brain to start shutting down, and so then that person start losing balance. So now you got a whole nother problem because the carbs are affecting the brain and it's affecting the small intestine and large intestines.
Thank you.
So that's why the gluten is very important, not to be eating the gluten also, because now we found out that they changed the wheat. That was one of the first grains that was changed in the 50s and the 60s. They changed the wheat and they started creating a very sturdy wheat that could be grown in very poor soil all over the world, particularly India, because you had all these people and they couldn't grow enough food. And the agriculture scientists, they crossbred these wheats and they came up with a wheat that could grow 10 times the amount of gluten. And that's when they started promoting us with the wheat. And then as we ate this wheat that had the gluten, we start gaining the weight because the gluten binds the colon and prevents the colon from eliminating. And that's when we start having a weight problem in our society. And we start having more digestive problems.
And can you tell, what is the ALA? You mentioned ALA.
The ALA, we were talking about the lipoic acid. The lipoic acid is a supplement that helps the heart keep its energy. And one of the things that we develop with diabetes is we're developing neuropathy. Neuropathy is the first level of the nerves dying in the legs. So when the nerves die in the legs, you can't feel your legs. So now you're falling. You can't feel your legs. So now you're starting to get pains in your feet and in your legs, feel like someone is cutting the tissue in your legs. Now we're starting to get we're starting to get the effects of the neuropathy. Now you become paralyzed. Let me tell you the story. My uncle developed the diabetes. He got the neuropathy in his legs and he was driving one night and he couldn't feel his legs to move his legs from the gas pedal to the brakes. And there was a train coming across the tracks and he ran into the train and he died at 54 years old. Because in my family, diabetes is a horror story. From my grandfather to my aunties, to my uncles, to my mother, to my brothers, but not to me. Because I stopped eating all of that stuff when I was young, when I was 20, when I developed the sarcoidosis. I cleaned my diet. I became that person who woke up, who came out of the matrix and said, I must take control of my health. And I changed all of that stuff and started eating healthy fruits and vegetables, became a vegetarian, started eating healthy grains and nuts and seeds. And now I live to this day at 75. Well, I'm trying to push it. I'm only 74 and a half, but I'll be 75 in the next 6 months. And I'm vital. I am not on any medication. I go to the doctors. They say, how are you like this? How are you breathing so well? How are you? You're on no medication, not a one. because I'm eating healthy and I'm working with the what? The super breath. So that's why all of you all are sheroes of yourself. And I know as we go through these lectures, I'll be hearing of your changes. I'll be hearing of you getting healthier. I'll be hearing of you breathing in the fresh air as the weather changes. When we're going into the healthier weather, I'll be hearing you getting in the sunshine. When my book come out, I'll be hearing you say, Dr. Hapi, I got to have a copy of that book because I want to be super healthy. I'm going to come to your website and I'm going to be breathing. I'm going to see you doing those breathing techniques on the website, and I'm going to do them too. I'm going to show them to my children and grandchildren. But here's the thing. The breathing I'm talking about, when you learn it, you get so good that your grandchildren who are the 2s and 3s, you say, come breathe with me, baby. And you put them to sleep because you breathe so well, they start falling asleep. So that, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Dr. Harvey.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Because we're coming into the appointed hour. The lecture will be coming over.
I have a question.
Any other questions?
I mean,
Yeah.
the artificial
No,
sweeteners.
we can hear you.
Okay, the artificial sweeteners. I use monk fruit and stevia leaf. Is that in the
Monk
artificial?
fruit and stevia? Stevia
Monk
leaf?
stevia leaf. It's by a company called Whole
Yeah,
Earth.
both of those are natural.
Okay.
Called what?
No, I was
Yeah,
just,
those are natural.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I use those also. I use monk fruits in my drinks, and I use stevia, and I use malt syrup, and I use diluted maple syrup, and I use all of those. But that's good. I'm glad you're using that, Sister Naomi.
Yeah,
Yes, Sister Shirley.
hard getting off of the other ones, the yellow stuff, but I did away with that years ago, and it took so long for me to get the taste back that it frightened me. So I wouldn't use anything else but the stevia. And then when this combination stevia and monk fruit came out, it satisfied me with more tea.
That's a good one. Put that with next time we have the lecture, or even now, if you have it at your disposal, put it on the screen so people can see that, so that they can see that product.
So
that's
Dr.
the first one that I saw that have both of them. Yes, Christy.
So you gave us like a full lecture on detoxification, but do you have a specific process that you would tell us to start to eliminate things from our diet?
I do.
Okay,
It's another lecture.
Okay.
Shows up backwards, but
I do. That will. So in our next lecture, we will work on the things that we see in the next lecture. We will work on a whole dietary program. If you follow this diet that I'm in, that you will definitely be on track to have a healthy body. If you follow this diet that I'm in, because this is the diet that I've recommended to my patients. And I have some patients now that are in their 90s with the super breath. They're still walking up and down the stairs. They're healthy. They can run the 2,000 breath program where now they can outbreathe 50 and 40-year-olds. So it's a whole program. So in the next lecture, we'll go over that.
So, Dr. Hapi.
Will you all be here for that lecture? Yes,
Yes.
Sister Shirley.
So, because I have, the 2 or 3 autoimmune diseases, I'm always trying to manage my inflammation. So I started eating based on my blood type. So what I realized was that there were foods that the nutritionists were saying that were good for me, like avocado, fish, but based on my blood type, they were not agreeing with me. So because I have started to let that guide me first, my blood type eating, and then incorporate that with the types of foods, what I have noticed is I don't have any more problems with constipation. I don't have any more problems with just the natural body cycle of elimination. So I'm trying to dig more into that so I can understand more. I know there's that affiliation, I believe it is, and elimination, and I forgot what the third one is, but maybe you can kind of bring that into one of your lectures.
We can bring it all together in our next lecture. We can talk about the food types, and we can round that in with the foods that everybody can eat based on their food types. So now people will know their food types, and they'll also know the foods that are the healthier foods to eat. Because as I stated, the person who, you know, what we have to do, we have to look at people around us. People around us, we eat a diet of the people in our families. We're culture driven. Like other cultures, like if you talk about the Arabs don't eat what we eat. The Greeks don't eat what we eat. They eat, even when they eat beans, the type of beans they eat is hummus. Well, if you go to a grocery store, do you see hummus in the grocery store now? If you go to a grocery store outside the community, but if you go to a grocery store in the community, you might not see hummus. If you go to Pete's, you'll see hummus, you'll see avocados, you'll see different foods from all over the world. And so in the next lecture, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about detoxifying foods, and we'll talk about based on your blood type, which is you find out your blood type, and here's the foods you can eat for that. And then here are the foods that tend to lead to less inflammation. What we're finding, inflammation is the killer. Inflammation is oxidation. It's the oxidizing of your cells, because guess what? Your body is running out of oxygen. It's the oxygen that keeps your cells healthy. And if I ask all of you all, have you all been doing the breathing every day that we went through some of? Have you all been doing that every day? Some of you all might say, oh, Dr. Hapi, I got too busy. I got too busy with life today to do any of it. And that's something we should not be saying. Because if we're trying to be healthy, the first rule of healthy, as you on the airplane, is put the what? Put the mask on yourself. That's what the breathing is. That's what this super breathing is. All the cells have to have oxygen. Your breathing is the first line of alkalization. Your body cells are not being alkalized. They're being acidified by you having acid in the foods that you eat that rust out your cells and allow the microbes to come and get you and set up infection in your organs.
Okay.
So everything I'm talking about is a lifestyle. Everything I'm talking about is a lifestyle. And the first place we start is with the breath. When you look at the baby didn't eat nothing. There was no blood types. There was one thing the baby could drink, which was milk. But what else did you see that baby do? You saw that baby cry. And that crying was the baby's breathing. They were doing their breathing, super breathing day and night. And what did you see happen? You saw the baby become a super being as a turbo 2 and 3 with unlimited energy that drives the average grandparents boiky. The average grandparents say, oh, they come get the baby. They just too much. They just wore out my last nerve. They just got me exhausted because we're not doing the breathing that the baby is doing, that the 2 and 3-year-old, they're running around breathing all over, becoming energized. The more we get into understanding what I talk about, the more the sheroes will rise up with their falcon wings that will get larger, wider, stronger. Who are you all? Who are you
Dr.
all?
Hapi, some of us are reading a book by this
Yes.
lady named Dr. Mindy Peltz, and she talks about different types of fasting. And one of her theories is that if our body goes into autophagy after 36 hours, was really anything after 17 hours, that the body will heal itself. What are your thoughts on that?
Let's go a little deeper. Let's go a little deeper. If you are not deep into this breathing, it's still gonna be a problem, because you're still dealing with. Let me give. I'm gonna give you an example. There was this doctor named Dr. Sebi. You all might have
I
heard
know
of him.
Dr. Sebi. He wasn't a real doctor, but yeah.
Okay. But let me tell the story. Dr. Sebi believed in fasting. He believed in that if you're fasting, you can heal the body. So they put him in jail. They put him in jail in Honduras. He was fasting because he wasn't eating.
Right.
And he died up in there because, again, he wasn't doing the breathing. He got toxification because he wasn't doing the breathing. As I stated, your first line of alkalization, the young people are learning about an alkaline body. They're learning about alkaline water. We never knew about that.
Right.
But your first line of defense is your breathing. It's your first alkalinity. So when you breathe strong, and that's why exercising is not the exercising as much as it is the breathing that's causing the lungs to get new oxygen. And that's where the healing takes place, in the oxygenation.
Okay.
So we say, well, what is that? We say, well, what is that? Well, what comes with the oxygen? The energy from the sun. It's energizing our cells. But if you're breathing very, very superficially, very shallow, you're sitting at your computers all day and you're barely breathing, you cannot detoxify. You cannot be breaking down your foods. So what happens? You're going to have extra toxicity, which is going to cause your organs to get infection because your organs are living off old oxygen. Old oxygen. You need new oxygen, just like with your car. When you jump in your car and you're driving, you're bringing in new oxygen from the air. It's mixing with the gasoline. It's moving through your motor and it's keeping your motor charged up. It's removing carbon. It's the carbon in our bodies that's causing the bodies to become more toxic. What are we hearing about now? We need a less carbon load. This is what they're talking about, that they're trying to get companies to put less toxins in the air. They're having companies get credit. They're getting credit by investing in other places that they're not putting toxins in the air. And so the carbon load is staying in our bodies. What is that like? That's a car that is not getting the toxins out, and you got black smoke coming out of the car. Well, what does that do in the environment? It's making the environment toxic, but at the same time, it's breaking down the motor of your car. So what do? You go and get a tune-up. What do? They change the oil. So here's what we need to do. We need to get the omega-3, 6, and 9. The omegas is an oil change every day. A tablespoon of omega-3, 6, and 9. A company named Udo, they make omega-3, 6, and 9. 1 tablespoon every day is like giving your cells a tune-up. That's where regeneration, healthy oxygen and healthy oil now, and healthy food that you're putting the healthy organic chlorophyll into your body. That's what helping the body to regenerate.
So you don't believe that do you believe that the autophagy of, the replenishment of the new cells, do you believe that that's clearing out like all of the bad cells?
I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm gonna tell you this story about my auntie. She was 54 years old when she died. She went into a fast. She went into a fast, and in 7 days she was dead because she didn't get the toxins out of her body while she was fasting. She wasn't taking in the healthy water and the healthy air. What I'm saying is that a intermittent fasting is healthy. Okay. You start eating at 12 o'clock and you stop at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. You have 16 hours for digestion. But what are you eating? So that's why we go back to what are you eating? We go back to what are you breathing? Are you breathing healthy air? Are you breathing more than normal? That's where the exercise come in. So we have to apply all the principles. It's not just not eating. That's why I'm telling you about my auntie. She didn't eat for a whole week and she died in 7 days.
Well, she doesn't
because
tell
she was
you
not
not to.
eliminating the toxins out of the colon.
She doesn't tell you not to eat. You're supposed to be drinking water during your fasting. So
I'm just talking. I wasn't talking about her just now. I was talking about fasting.
okay.
A lot of people try to get healthy. A lot of people try to say, "Okay, I'm gonna go on this fast for 7 days," and they don't do everything else right, and all the toxins build up, and it kills this. It kills the oxygen in their cells, and they die from toxicity. So all I'm saying is that,
I also believe that because our food is medicine if you're eating the right kind of food.
That's correct.
At least that's what I found out. That's what got me out of this wheelchair. When I started.
That's right. You're right, Sister Shirley. You're absolutely right, Sister Shirley. You're absolutely right. But then we look at our diets. If we say, how many of us eat a lot of snack food? A lot of snack food. Every time you go to the grocery store, one of the things they promote when they had the Super Bowl, they were promoting the snack foods with the avocado dips and all of that. We eat too much of the flour. Flour's in the pastry. Flour's in the spaghetti, in the pastas. Flour's in the breads. It's too much flour.
Yep. Flour and gluten.
I have a question.
Flour and gluten, and the gluten binds the colon. The gluten binds the colon where you can't eliminate. You can't absorb nutrients from the gluten. That's why this store right out here, right west of me in River Forest, they have a Jewel's. This Jewel food store in the Black community, they got meats over in the vegetable section on the side. Come and get your meats while you get your vegetables. Pork, the meats are neck bone, pork neck bone. Over in the white people, in their Jewels, they got the organic juices. They got the carrot juice. They got the green juices. They got the beet juices. They got 3,500 products that are flour products that don't have gluten, because the white people told them, we don't want these products with the gluten because they know about the celiac disease. So they took 3,500 products out of a whole aisle. They got 1,500 organic foods in their store. So when you go to the Jewels in the white people neighborhood, instead of having white salt in your snacks, they got sea salt rather than white salt. So what I'm saying is that it is buyer beware. You are the buyer. You must become knowledgeable. You are becoming knowledgeable more than a lot of your friends. So we say, well, what's going to happen to your friends? They're going to be on more medications. They're going to get sicker. They're going to be having the strokes and all the other problems that come with the poor diet that Black people have, because we're the sickest of all the people.
I have a question.
So is our children going to have that? Yes, yes.
I had some silver fillings removed, 2 of them removed last week.
That was good. Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so, and it was the biodentist that did it. So I had the oxygen, but I'm still concerned, should I be like detoxing with chlorophyll, and what type of chlorophyll do you use, or any other
Yes,
precautions?
you should be detoxing with chlorophyll. Yeah, you should be detoxing with chlorophyll. Just the
What
regular
type do you use?
liquid
The
chlorophyll
powder?
that they sell. They have a powder and they have a liquid. I use both. I usually put chlorophyll in my smoothies. I'll use a powder. I use like wheatgrass, barley grass. I'll use chlorella. I use spirulina. That's in my smoothie. It's a green smoothie. So it's full of chlorophyll to detox the body. And then also I take charcoal that detox metals and stuff like that in the body. Charcoal.
Any brand that you use?
You could buy the charcoal at the health food store. Any brand, pretty much. You can buy them at the health food store.
The chlorophyll.
It detoxes the metals. It detoxes.
Okay.
Brother, I just want to, my church, we're doing a fast, but I don't know how y'all are doing it Christmas. We're doing it different ways where you don't eat anything for 3 days.
I couldn't hear one. I couldn't hear one.
Yeah, I
Can
said,
one speak louder?
this is, yeah, Chrissy was talking
Renee?
about fasting.
Uh-huh.
She was talking about fasting. I wasn't sure exactly how they're doing the fasting, but my church is also trying to do the fasting, but they have a 3-day fast where you don't eat or drink anything. That's what you want to do.
A 3-day fast is a 3-day fast is durable.
Right.
We do a 9-day fast. We'll do 3 days. We'll do 3 days of eating salads. We do 3 days of juices, and then we do 3 days of eating salads. We consider that one type of fasting.
Okay, so they
And
have
then
like,
there's fasting where you can do. They have fruit fasting where you can just do fruits for a while. Then they have fasting where you can do water. But with the water fast, you have to be careful. You have to make sure you're cleaning the colon, because otherwise those toxins are still they're absorbing back into your body.
so
That's
wait a
when
minute.
I was talking about psyllium husk.
So I know that they're doing a 3-day if you want, and then they're doing a 21-day, but with their 21 days, it's just pretty much fruit, vegetables, and water. Then they have like another 21 days where you're doing no fried food at all, fruits and vegetables. You can have meat, but it's not, as long as it's not fried. Fruit and no sugar, cut out, everything is cutting out the sugar and breads and oil. So you're saying if you're just doing water.
Well, check this out.
I want to get that clear. If you're just doing
One
water,
can replace water. One can use even coconut water as a cleanser. One of my friends, he's a chef, and he's a chef. He's in Jamaica. He has not drank water for 40 years. He drank coconut water. He climbs the trees himself. He's 76 years old, and he's healthy. So the thing is, water is critical. I would say drink some water, but drink alkaline water. Drink water that's going to flush you. See, the whole thing about water is doing two things. It's flushing you, it's hydrating you, but also it's pulling toxins out of your body. And when you're talking about digestion, you got to pull toxins out. Otherwise, you're not digesting. They're going into your organs, setting up inflammation. They're going into your bones, setting up inflammation.
So that's good to know.
Breaking you down.
Fast, and people don't really know, and I think we're all doing something so well. But even if you're eating, just fruits and stuff, you still need to be drinking it. But if you're just drinking regular water, not the right water, you're not pulling the toxins out. I don't think they can really teach about that. We just say do this fast.
I know this one brother, he was a vegetarian. He didn't drink no water. He thought he was getting all his water from his fruits. He had to go on dialysis. He thought he was being healthy. He wasn't as knowledgeable. At 70 years old, he went on dialysis. So that's why I'm saying knowledge is priceless. And the thing is, if you're not becoming knowledgeable, then you're getting sick because you're dependent on the medical doctor to give you a bunch of medication that causes a bunch of more side effects that then cause your body to be in more strain, more stress.
So, Dr. Hapi, they're not drinking alkaline water, they're just drinking regular water. What else can they do besides the coconut water? What else can they do? What can they add to
Yes,
the
the
regular?
alkaline water is better. The alkaline water is better. It's the best water. But even with that water, there's a company called Mountain Valley. It has a water from the mountain. It's a pure water. It's a pure water. I had some of that water. I had told a friend of mine, and his mother, they were going to put on dialysis, but they didn't have to put on dialysis because we changed the diet, got on the water, and started having to do the super breathing. And now she's 87. She just made 88. She's healthy. She's not on dialysis because we changed her intake.
Where
We
do you get the Mountain
eliminated
Valley
the
from?
flour. We eliminated. Mountain Valley is a company that produces water from the mountains. It's green. It's a green bottle.
Glass bottle?
It's on Amazon,
Green, a green bottle.
Renee. It's
Thank
on
you.
Amazon. I haven't seen it in our grocery stores, but I just looked it up on Amazon.
I wonder this.
Amazon be having everything. They have it here in the stores here.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Hapi,
So our time. Yes.
Just one question,
Yes,
since we're
Christy.
talking about water. The spring water doesn't help people at all?
Does what water?
Spring water.
Which? Oh, rainwater.
No.
Rainwater is pulling down. Rainwater is pulling down. It's pulling down acid from the air.
No.
See where we are in time right now.
Spring water, like spring water that
spring water. Yeah. Oh, spring. Yeah, spring water is okay. It's okay if you had a choice between tap water, spring water, and alkaline water from the mountain valley or from the machine. Spring water would be the next solution. The next water I would select.
Okay.
Because we're still talking about pH. We're talking about pH. pH is where we have to step into pH.
I think distilled water is even better than spring water because it's cleaner.
So, okay, so there's research now that they do with water. They can actually test the pH of water. They have equipment that can test the pH of water. And what they found was that distilled water, the pH is at about a 4.5 to a 5.5. So that's actually less than the healthy water, even though it's a pure water, but it's still the pH. So we're saying alkaline water, the pH is a 8.5, a 9, and a 9.5, and a 10. Those pHs, they push toxins out of your body. The toxins are your acids that are in your lower, they're in acidic state rather than basic. So basic is where you have, and then you have your alkaline. So we're saying we have to have the body at a higher alkaline water or alkalinity to push the acid out of the body. It's the acid that's making the cells get sick.
Yep.
So that's why alkaline water is more healthier than any of the waters. And all of this came from the research that the Japanese were doing when they bombed the Japanese with the atomic bomb because their air was toxic. And the people were sick from the radiation. Millions of people were dying. And the food, you couldn't grow anything on the food because it had the radiation on the land. It had it on the water. So they had to restore their land, restore their water, and they became the first organic people. And they were the ones that created the alkaline water machines to restore their population. Now they are the healthiest people. The first water was in the hospital. They brought it into the hospital to help the people in the hospital that were toxic from the radiation. And then they started getting them well. And then they brought the water machines into the restaurants. And they created 7 different waters. One of the waters worked like hydrogen peroxide. It kills the microbes without burning your skin. And then they created a water that's a tonic for your skin to make your skin beautiful and make your skin astringent and hold the tissue toned. And then they created a water that 3 different alkaline waters, and that these waters you use to get the acid out of the body. And then they created a water that's it's a neutral water. And that's the water you take your medicine with, because the alkaline water pushes medicines into the body too quick. You should drink a neutral water to take your medicines. So there's 7 different waters. So what I'm saying, they were water scientists. They went further into the knowledge of water than anyone. And they have technology that can test water. I can test water. You bring me some alkaline water and I can tell you if it's the real alkaline water, or if it's just something they put some sodium bicarbonate in and changed it to a pH, but it's not as true alkaline as an alkaline water that has been totally refined, where it has acidic, it has a negative charge to it, where it deals with a oxygen reduction potential that pushes the acid out of the body. So we have to get deeper and deeper into our understanding of chemistry, because this is all we're talking about with food is chemistry. And the more deeper we get in it, the more vital we'll be. And that we have to share with our families. We have to be the elders. We have to be those who walk with the knowledge like the ancestors, like the sisters and the brothers of the ancient past, who carried the big wings and were heroes and sheroes of themselves.
Dr. Hapi, I did have a question I wanted to have asked in the chat, and one is, what are your thoughts on protein for vegetarians?
Oh, okay. Here's the protein. The protein for vegetarians, I look at it like this. For some people, they have problems eating butters, so they got to get a protein powder. A protein powder is pre-digested. Think of protein from the weightlifters. Go back to the weightlifters. Go back to physical health when we look at all the weightlifters with all the muscles. They have a pretty tight diet. They don't eat a bunch of the snacks, a bunch of the stuff that we be eating. They don't eat all the sugary products. They don't eat all the carbs. They might have some lean meat. They might have a potato, some broccoli, and they do protein drinks. And the protein drinks help to build their muscles. So I believe in protein powder to a great degree because it's pre-digested. It takes the strain off your organs of breaking it down. So we say, well, what kind of companies do that? Well, there's a company called Raw. It makes a protein powder. This protein powder is a complete protein. And when you put it in your smoothie, which is where you should put it in your smoothie, now you have a complete meal in a liquid form, saving you from digestion. Because that's where our problem lies. We're trying to digest all this stuff we're eating, and we don't have enough power to do it. And we're not getting the probiotics like the kimchi and the sauerkraut, and the stuff is staying in our systems too long, creating constipation. And we're eating too much of the gluten flour, creating constipation. And now that stuff is backing up. And now that's creating polyps in our colon and helping us to get cancer of the colon. So the protein, think of a smoothie. We must move to a smoothie. Smoothie should be the first, after water, it should be our breakfast. Not a whole breakfast we eat, but a smoothie we drink. And now the word for breakfast was originally mean to break a fast. So when you break a fast from your heavy evening meal, you need more time to break it down. And so if you are getting a smoothie, you're getting fiber from your fruits, which is helping you to break down your foods. It's helping to digest your foods. It's helping to get you ready for lunch. Now, if you're not eating anything between breakfast and lunch, you have a substantial breakfast in a liquid state that's giving you nourishment. Then you go to your lunch. Then from your lunch, you go to your dinner. Then you finish your dinner early. You got time to digest in the evening. You drink your herbal teas. They help you to digest.
Mhm. And then the last one,
They
Dr.
help you to
Hapi.
digest your foods. That's where your herbal teas come in.
Nia, I hope that answered your question. And then the last one is Mrs. McNair. She says she's dealing with some dry eye issues. Do you have any suggestions for extreme dry eyes?
There is well, there's two things. One, you have to look at the salt that's coming into your body. How much salt are you getting? If you're getting too much white salt, that dehydrates. That dehydrates the water out of your blood. And then you have to look at herbs. One is called eye bright. You wash your eyes with the eye bright. You drink eye bright tea. But you have to start with the salt. The salt is drying out it's drying the water out of the eyes. And then you have to look at coffee. If you're drinking coffee, coffee dehydrates the blood. So it makes the blood thick and it pulls the water out of the blood. So we're coffee drinkers. We are so overconsumed with all of the types of foods in our lifestyle that is detrimental to our bodies.
Mhm.
So, in school we drink coffee to stay woke. But now they have a coffee that's made out of mushrooms. And it
Mhm.
doesn't do it like what the coffee do. It's made out of mushrooms. They have a mushroom called lion's mane. They sell at Pete's. They sell at grocery stores that it helps the brain from getting Alzheimer's. It helps stimulate the brain. This mushroom I'm just seeing on the market called lion's mane. It tastes chewy. It tastes chewy like kind of like maybe some kind of, well, it tastes like mushrooms. It's chewy. It's chewy, but it's good for the brain, called
Lion's mane. Well, Dr. Happy, you
Yeah,
certainly
so
gave us a
as
lot
we,
of, yes, sir.
the last thing I was going to say, as we move into time, we are the ones who's supposed to be the guardians of our health. We are the ones supposed to be changing our diets. We are the ones supposed to take on the ways of the ancestors. And in so doing, we will be the healthier ones. Because otherwise we will be like everyone else in our society. The reason I read that introduction of my book to you all was to inspire you all, so that you really start taking a more sincere concern about your health, which I know you all are, but even to come in deeper, to get more deeper into it. Because as you get older, it's like it's like the ancestors, they show a candle and they show a unk. It's called a candle unk. And it says that you are losing time to gain life, because now you're older, your cells are not working the same. You're not producing your stem cells. And that's another lecture to us talk about some technologies out here to help stimulate stem cells, because we need that to keep our cells healthy. But as we're moving through time, our bodies are slowing down. So we have to give it the same thing. One of my patients told me, who's 89 now. She was 83 when I started working with her, and she was on a cane and with pain. She was moving very slow. And I started working with her. We turned her on to the super breath, and now she's not on a cane. She moves like a 40-year-old. And now she gave me a card to thank me. She says, you have restored a T-model Ford. Now, if you all know anything about cars, that's a 100-year-old car that's still running smooth. That's a 100-year-old car that's still vital. She's like that because she came into the lifestyle that I shared with her and changed her ways, and she got into the super breath that I'm talking about, and now she can breathe as well as me. Her breath was so weak you couldn't even hear her breathe, even if you was right next to her nostrils. If you were next to her nostrils, you couldn't even hear her pull the air in. Now she pulls the air in as strong as a bull. And at first, her legs were weak, she couldn't lift them up 1 inch. Now, off the table, she can lift them up all the way And if you tested her, she's as strong as a 30-year-old. And her legs, if she lift them up quick and you're in the way, she'll kick you in the wall like a bull, like you thought you was kicked by a bull. You'll say, somebody let a bull in the room that kicked me. So the exciting thing that we have in front of us is knowledge. The exciting thing we have in front of us is our will to change. And the exciting thing we have in front of us is we know who our ancestors were. And they were phenomenal. They were phenomenal. We have been dumbed down, and now we have the opportunity to rise like Phoenix and claim our claim to fame with our health, which is our most priceless gift that God has given us every day. So do you all want me to end on the end of my book? You want me to tell you all the end of my book? Or we'll just wait till next month.
We can wait till next month, Dr. Hapi, and then give us something to
We can wait.
Be excited about. The beginning
look
of the
forward
book
to.
is phenomenal, and I'm excited for you.